Hi, everybody. It's Litecoin Lisa, and I'm here today with my friend Jason Nelson. You guys might know him on Twitter as Dragon Wolf Tech, and he has been out there hustling and giving great information and content. You guys need to go check out his YouTube channel and find him on Twitter at Dragon Wolf Tech. Jason, how are you doing today?
Hi, Lisa. How are you doing? Thank you for having me
Good.
on.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have you on here. I feel like I follow people on Twitter and watch them on YouTube, and then to get to meet you in person and get to chat a little bit is always great. I didn't want to talk too much before we started recording just because I've learned that sometimes I get excited talking to somebody and miss out on sharing a bunch of great content. So I wanted to jump right in and get us recording and hear about your crypto journey and what led you to get into cryptos, and when did you start hearing about cryptos, and when did you get into cryptos?
The first time I had heard of Bitcoin was in 2013. It was a Wired magazine article about it. Um, at the time, it was like, oh, that's neat, right? And I pretty much just ignored it until 2016 is when it became more of a presence in my newsfeed. The way I got into it is actually interesting because um, my when I first got into crypto in general, it was because I was a fan of Atlas Shrugged and Ayn Rand's novel about the people. They started to leave society because of all the regulations and oppressions and things like that. So they went to make their own society. The main character, John Galt, right? So what made me think about it was, how would a society that did that, how would they basically, how would they do commerce, right? Because as even though using gold as currency is possible, it's not really practical because you can't carry around bags of gold everywhere you go. So I thought, well, what if they use Bitcoin, right? I have it. You have a basket of apples that I want. How many Bitcoin do you want for it? You say two. I give you two Bitcoin. You give me a bag of apples.
And
We
it's
go.
more easily divisible as well. You can, because we'll be trading in those, 0.000
Right.
Bitcoin or Litecoin for those apples, where if you had a chunk of gold, how are you going to cut off the right amount or separate it? So,
Well, and you
and not
think
that gold isn't valuable, but
exactly. Well, and you think that um, up until this time, like when we were doing like large scale gold mining, like in the 1800s, you had to have weights and balances to determine the value of what it was you were carrying at the time. Whereas with crypto, it's a lot easier to do because the math does it for you, right? You don't have to actually sit there and be like, okay, if I have this and I put it over here, it equals this. And, I mean, once you get into the minutia of all the various coins, sure, you have to have some converter, right?
right.
But by and large, if you're using Litecoin, for example, it's pretty common knowledge how much one Litecoin is at the time, and then you can break it down from there. But getting back to the original question, sorry, I went off on
Yes. No, you're fine. That's always great information.
I went off on a History Channel rant right there.
That's all right.
The way I got involved was I was speaking on Twitter with Jennifer Grossman. She's the head of the Atlas Society. And I asked her, how would Ayn Rand feel about Bitcoin? And she said, I don't know, but why don't we ask Naomi Brockwell and Jeffrey Tucker? And she tagged them in the tweet response. And it's been ever since. And that was mid 2016. And I've been here ever since.
Wow, that's really interesting. I really respect Naomi Rockwell and the content that she brings to the space. And so it's really cool to hear that she was a part of your journey, and that you connected with her that way. So in this journey, and since you've been in since 2016, what is your role or contribution to the space?
Well, I see my role as one part um, explanation to people who are new to the space, like I was. The other part is community building. Um, that's one reason why, if you notice, I do my Follow Friday tags every Friday, and now I do them on Wednesday as well. Because I think it's important that people know that there are more people out there that they can connect with and learn from. I'm always learning, and I'll be the first one to tell you I don't know everything about this space. So it's good for me to always know, to have a ever expanding um, number of people I can draw from who can help me see where the space is going and not just be listening to random voices. I can actually say, okay, I'm going to listen to Lisa. Lisa has a consistent channel that stays on top of everything. I'm going to listen to Naomi. I'm listening to BTC sessions, things like that. And you can start to develop your view from the amount of people that you interact with, and it can grow from that core group of people. And so the reason why I do that list every week is because I want like somebody new who on CNBC just heard something negative about Bitcoin, and they come on Twitter and they say like, well, CNBC said. I was like, well, hang on, let me introduce you to all these people who can give you an opposing view, and then that's why I do that. And I try to
That's
keep
awesome.
people.
And then sharing. That's one thing that's so great in this space is that the more we share and the more we work together, the stronger the space is. It's not about excluding people. It's a very welcoming community and inclusive.
Right, exactly. And I went to San Francisco last month to the Bitcoin conference, and there was just so many different people there. I mean, all walks of life, all backgrounds, and they were talking about Bitcoin. They were talking about crypto, and it it actually reinvigorated me because it showed me that this isn't just something that people are. It's not fly by night. It's not something that's just going to be a massive fad. This is it's almost like a lifestyle. It's almost like I always say that crypto is my community. Crypto is my
Yes.
tribe, right? You're my tribe. Naomi's my
Yes.
tribe. And it allowed me, and doing things like this allowed me to step out from behind the uh, talking about money, talking about transactions and things like that, to, hey, Lisa, how are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And those meetups are so important. We just had one in New Jersey, and then we're going to have one with Bitcoin Ben, and it's going to benefit a charity August 17th in St. Louis. But it's exciting to know that you did get re-energized. I think because we're on Twitter and on YouTube, and yes, we watch each other, but that opportunity to meet those people in real life and it exchanges ideas and say, and feel that community bond. I think it is really important, and learn more about them than just our crypto, because there's so much more about each one of us that brings to the table that makes the community stronger.
Right. And what I like also is the fact that we don't tend to pull punches. So if something happens and we don't like it, you're going to find out about it relatively quickly.
Well, that's that decentralized community, that everyone is, you are, although we are a community and a network together, I'm not responsible for actions that you take. You get that wholly on you, and people will call each other out on it. But I think a lot of it is in love too, and say, hey, look at something a different way, or it might benefit you in this way, because the stronger we all are together or individually, then the stronger we are together,
Yeah, exactly. It's basically the individual makes the group, not the other way around, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah. So we come with our own individual tastes, our individual backgrounds, and then it makes the group stronger, as opposed to having this thing on top of there, and then all these little pieces filter out of it.
Yeah, our commonalities come together to make us stronger for sure. So with that said, how has your view of the world changed since you were introduced to crypto? And if so, how?
You know, for me, it's what's changed is I see the possibilities that one person, the change that one person can affect by doing something like creating a cryptocurrency. You know, whereas before, money and finance was always over there, right? It was always Wall Street. It was always something in the Treasury Department. Well, now you and I can get together and make a cryptocurrency.
Yeah, that's amazing. And things were handled by your financial advisor,
Right.
or by some, your 401k that you didn't have any input in. Now we do have so much, and there's a responsibility and a risk in that, but it's really exciting to, for you to be able to be an adult with your own money and not have somebody else controlling it.
Well, and it getting involved made me more cognizant of money. You know, it's easy to just swipe your credit card and buy something, but do you stop and think of the process that goes between you swiping this credit card to the point where it gets to your bank, and then your bank sends it back to the person you just charged it to, and all the hops that it has to go through? You know, whereas with crypto, like if I have Litecoin, which I do,
Smart.
I can send it straight to you. You can send me whatever I'm paying for. And we don't have to really worry about if some third party is going to say you can't buy that.
Right. Which we've had that happen to us personally. I know there was another friend that had that happen to them this week that was talking about a different bank than what we used previously, but that they had stopped their purchase because they were at an investment bank that deemed their purchase too risky, and so stopped their purchase of crypto. And I think more and more that's going to be happening now that there's this awareness with Libra and the conversations that are happening around cryptocurrency and blockchain technology publicly.
Right. And I mean, I think it's safe to say that when Facebook announced Libra, they scared quite a few people in Washington and on Wall Street.
I thought it was interesting. I was listening to the I think it's Senate hearing this morning, and they do House tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. But they were angry. A lot of them were very, when they were talking to the Facebook representative, you could hear all the anger in their voice. And I think a lot of that does come from a place of fear,
Right.
just from it being unknown, and then the possibilities that cryptocurrency could be a threat to the US dollar.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, nobody likes to have their position challenged, especially governments, right? When you come up with a way to thwart their ability to hold dominion, that's going to put you on their radar. You know, whether your intention is good, whether it's for ill, they're going to pay attention to you. And the reason why I think that Libra scared them so much wasn't so much that it was a cryptocurrency, because they know about cryptocurrency. They've been talking about it for years. It's the fact that Facebook has 2 billion users who could potentially use their cryptocurrency.
Well, and the Facebook it's not even really a cryptocurrency, it's a token, and it's centralized, which that part in itself is a little scary to me, because that means someone's in charge of it and can make decisions about it. It's not like Bitcoin, that Bitcoin exists and no one can go in and manipulate it. It's the community consensus chooses the value of Bitcoin.
Well,
so
and I
think
mean,
that part of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you I really want to hear your thoughts on it.
Well, and you're right. We shouldn't call it a cryptocurrency because it's not. If you were going to call it a cryptocurrency, it's a stable coin.
Right.
Right. Because of all of the stuff that's piled into the background of it, the things backing it up. And it's definitely it's definitely not decentralized because all they have to do is shut down Facebook.
Right.
Right. And that would pretty much wreck the whole situation, even though the Libra Association has a number of companies in it. If Facebook goes down, it pretty much causes a domino effect. I doubt Visa and MasterCard are going to stick around very long after that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. It's not a traditional cryptocurrency in the least.
I do see the positive way. I was listening to it. I had one ear pod in. I was at the bank this morning getting some money out, and we and the person helping me, my teller was helping me, and he's like, "Oh, is that the hearing on LibraCoin?" And so I started telling him about what I do in the space, and he's going to follow my channel. And I told him, I said, if you want to meet, I'll buy you a coffee, and you can download a Loaf wallet, and I'll pay for your coffee. I'll send you some Litecoin, and we can meet up. And then I started. Then the conversation just went so quickly, and I think that the benefit of that I see from Libra coming on is bringing those 2.6 billion users to start learning about, have an awareness of cryptocurrency, because so many people still don't. So I think it's going to cause a wave of adoption, and I think that's going to cause a wave of people buying in and learning about Bitcoin, Litecoin, right, the Libra coin, and I think it will all flow from there. I think we're never going to see prices like this again, right, to be honest. But
it's definitely going to drive the market up. The interesting thing about what's going to happen, in my view, is that like you said, get more people interested in the broader. People are going to see the difference between a permissioned blockchain and a permissionless blockchain. For example, the things you can do with Libra versus the things you can do with Litecoin and Bitcoin, right? There's going to be restrictions on what you can do with Libra.
Absolutely.
People are going to see that, and they're going to be like, well, okay, so I can't do what I want to do, so what are these guys doing over here?
Yeah, right. That was one of the questions they asked was, because Facebook is such a liberal leftist platform, has been known to shadow ban and all that. They asked him, would it be, if I wanted to go buy a gun with my Libra coin, am I going to be restricted from doing that because of your beliefs, even though it's a legal thing to do? And they couldn't answer it. And so that was really interesting to me as well. And then the whole tax issue, they didn't have an answer for that either. Because if it's a global coin, how do you, I mean, you could do like what Coinbase does, send a 1099 to people every year, but basically they said it was going to be, that onus was going to be on the user. Right. So and they didn't like that either.
Well, no. And you have to think that when we say global currency, do we actually mean something that is all over the globe or something everyone all over the globe can use? That's two different.
Great point. Yeah. Well, and they said that like Facebook is almost its own country, to be honest. I mean, there's 2.6 billion people there. I think they said, I can't remember the exact number of how many people are unbanked in the world, but they have a smartphone and could either have Facebook or could have Facebook. So it would be, that was one of the really positive things, was it could bring a banking ability to all these unbanked people for, $40 Android phone and download an app, and all of a sudden you have a bank or have access to a bank where 2/3 of the, I wish I could remember the number, how many people have Facebook but are unbanked. Anyway, it was mind-boggling, to get all those people into our commerce.
Right. Well, and you think that, there are countries where they may not have the same kind of internet that we have, but they have a phone. They have a mobile phone, right?
Right.
So projects like Cointext, for example, where you can send crypto through text message, right? I mean, that more and more companies are developing that too. So we don't really need an internet per se to.
Interesting. So sending it over data,
right?
Just like with the WhatsApp,
right?
I mean, all my kids, or Cash App, all my kids that babysit for me or do different things, nobody wants fiat. They want all their money's on their phone. So yeah, that would be a really great way to do it as well.
And then we have to also consider, going back to the hearing, that the animosity towards crypto, Libra, Litecoin, Bitcoin is bipartisan. Okay, neither side likes the idea of somebody coming in and changing the financial system.
Right.
Right. The first person I ever heard speak badly about Bitcoin or crypto on a national level was, what's his name, Brad Sherman. He's a Democrat, and then a couple of days ago, President Trump comes out and says stuff about crypto. So
I think that is a total hustle. I think he's playing people. I think because if you listen to what he said, okay, first of all, 2 or 3 days before that, he nominated Judy Shelton, who is an old gold bug, and she made a comment about that we need to go back to something like the gold standard, so that on a global, that was an even playing field for multiple countries, but we need it to be updated for the digital age.
Right.
That's Bitcoin. And then he came out in his opening statement to knee-jerk everybody, was that he didn't really care for, or I can't remember his exact words, but he didn't like Bitcoin or whatever. But then if you looked at his tweet, he started talking about Libra, and Libra is not Bitcoin, and all the reasons that he said, like Libra being printed out of thin air. Well, Bitcoin's not printed out of thin air. Bitcoin has, is mined and has a scarcity to it. Libra coin does not. And so that's where I thought it was hilarious, because I saw people get so riled up, and I was like, he is brilliant. He's got all these people that know way more about it than him. And if he says he hates it, then so many people love it already. It has a chance. If he came out and said he was for it, it would be dead in the water in a lot of people's minds. So I think that was personally, I think that was some of his 4D chess.
Well, no, he definitely, the thing about the way he does things is you can't just take what he says by itself. You have to think, okay, why is he saying this now?
Right.
And that's where the 4D chess comes in. It's like, okay, so what else is going on? While you're over here, what's going on over here?
Yes,
that kind of thing.
Absolutely. That's why I got such a kick out of it.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, though, when you're dealing with governments don't like competition. They don't. I mean, it's just a fact of government. When you present something to the people, especially when you consider crypto, Litecoin, Bitcoin, etc., was not marketed to the top. It was marketed to the bottom. Right. The people who first started using crypto were everyday people who may have been in the tech industry or whatever, but it wasn't presented to Wall Street as something. It wasn't presented to Washington as something. It was presented to you and me.
Right.
So it's a bottom up type financial system that the current financial system does not like. So it really doesn't matter which side of the aisle you fall on. They don't really want you to be using this stuff. Even if they're talking about, even if they said tomorrow that Libra was good to go, right? They really don't want you to use that, because that would just wreck their whole way of doing things.
Well, because to govern is to control, not to serve, like they want to tell you. And so, yeah, I totally agree. It just, getting into crypto has opened my eyes. I've learned so much about what currency really is, and how important our community is, and sharing with people. I mentioned that I shared with my new bank friend that we're going to have some coffee and buy some coffee with cryptos. Do you share crypto, and what's your experience been when you do share crypto with other people?
When I talk to people about crypto, I talk to them I talk to them with the currency aspect. I don't reference blockchain to begin with. And the
Okay.
reason why is because sometimes that can do the eyes glazed over thing, because now we're talking tech jargon. Whereas if you keep it in the realm of money, people tend to understand it better. And I basically say, okay, well, think about it this way. Think about it as using your credit card without Visa or MasterCard's permission, right? It's
Yeah.
the money that you can use to pay for things, and that's it. That's where I leave it. And then when they're ready to learn more, then we go into the details of the various coins and what they're used for, etc. What I like to do now, and what I did with a friend or family, is there's a video game called Escape QR, which uses the Lightning Network to you basically, it's like an old school arcade game where you put in a quarter, but in this case you use Satoshis to play the game. So I sent him 1,000 Satoshis, and I'm sorry, 100 Satoshis. And then you use those to play the game. And it's like Pac-Man.
Okay.
Right. And I did a video on it a couple of weeks ago. So it was basically, I used video games as the tool to show how I can send you this thing, and then you can use this thing to do something. Right. And it was eye-opening to them because it only took a couple of seconds for them to receive it.
Okay.
And they were able to play this game for however long they had tokens for. So I like to do things like that just to show people that it's not as complicated as it may seem, and it's actually quite easy to get involved with.
That's great, because that really gets them interacting with it right away on their own, so that it's not as scary for them. Because when you're hearing about it, I know my mom shared with us, and we heard about it, and we're learning about it, but we were terrified to touch it or mess with it, do anything with it for a little while. But so if you get them using it, touching it, sharing it right away, that seems like that would build a lot of confidence in them. It's a great way to hands-on education.
Right. And you just think of it as using a quarter to play a video game.
Yeah.
And I think one of at least my hope is with the content that I'm putting out is that it simplifies it for everyone.
That's great. And that is so needed just for people. That's why I'm motivated to do these videos, just so that people see it's everyday people. It's not not always a bunch of tech people, or you don't have to be a computer guru to be able to do it. So yeah, that's wonderful. So your friend was open to it when it was a game, and I love that you make it so tangible. And do you ever bump into people? What kind of pushback or what comments do you get when they aren't interested in it? Why aren't they interested in it? If you
the volatility is probably what scares most people away. You
okay.
know, and it's hard to explain to them why it happens. I mean, I could, but once again, the eyes glaze over and they lose. I lose them. So. Also, what gives it value? We've all heard that question.
Right. Yes. Scarcity.
Scarcity, right?
Yeah. And use case.
Right. Use case and scarcity. That's what gives it value. Also, my favorite one is it's not real. And I'm just like, well, neither is the money behind your credit card, but you still use it, right?
Right. And you don't have to know how if you ask them, okay, well, do you know how your credit card works? I think that so many people think they have to really understand the technology and how the blockchain, you don't have to know the algorithm or figure out the blockchain or know how it works. Right. It's great to educate yourself. That's very important. But like we've used credit cards for years, and I don't really know the technology. I know it sends some messages somehow and somehow gets it out of my bank, and somebody, you know,
Exactly.
so when you,
yeah, and that's a great point. And most people don't know. I mean, like my girlfriend's father, every time we tell him we used and we don't use credit cards, we use debit cards, right?
right.
And he's still under the mind that we're using credit cards or we're running up debt and all this stuff.
Oh, he doesn't understand that comes directly out of your bank.
Right. And well, we had to explain it to him. And
right.
You go by um, generational interactions with cards, and before, debit cards are actually fairly recent. You know, credit cards are a lot older, and that's what most people know.
Okay.
So we had to explain to him the difference between a credit card and a debit card. And it's that, for me, explaining people crypto, it's the next level from that, where you have the credit cards, debit cards, now you have Litecoin.
Yeah, because it's just a payment system, but you don't need the card anymore. It's through apps on your phone, just like the Cash App. I'll compare the Cash App a lot of times, but like you said, that's a generational thing too. So,
and what really I hope happens is I tell people that I want to make this stuff so simple that I can present it to my grandparents, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Be able to use it. They don't need to know how blockchain works. They need to know how to send and receive Litecoin.
Right. And Michael Nye has been talking about, he's been doing some teachings with his parents' community. They live on a golf course, and there's a bunch of older people there, I guess. And so his dad's been telling his neighbors and friends about cryptocurrency. And so he came and spoke to him, and he said it really excited him. And now he's on this mission to, tell all the baby boomers about cryptocurrency. And one of the ways he explained it was using the post office. And he talked about how, like, a post office is your address, and then you have a key, and those are your keys, and you can, and he also talked about the fact that, but now we send emails,
right,
and how you receive email it's still a letter, but it's over, electronically, but we still have post offices. And I think that's one of the things when people are freaked out, because they can't imagine a world without fiat. And I think it will take a long time. I think blockchain and cryptocurrency will take off, but I think we'll still have those post offices there for a long time.
Definitely. And you don't want to jettison the past for the sake of the future, right? You want to build on it,
right?
And like the internet is built on the telecom system, and crypto is built on the internet, and then it just builds from there. You don't just say, well, we don't need this anymore, so let's get rid of that, and then, right? Well, no, you might need a landline one day. I'm sorry.
I hope not. I think with satellites we'll be okay, but
well, we have Elon working on that, so we should be fine.
That's right. Well, and that's the amazing part, is the minds that we have involved in this. So speaking of Elon, who are some of your favorite influencers, or where do you get your news?
Primarily, I follow Naomi Brockwell.
Mm-hmm.
I follow Crypto Indio for my
yes.
I follow BTC Sessions for my daily updates because he does a really good job. And locally, there's his name is Crypto Stash. He does almost just about daily updates on his channel as well, and he hosts events in Los Angeles area.
Okay.
He and Crypto put on events, and it's I'm starting to expand out from there. Like, actually, if there's one person I can recommend that people look into who are new to all of this, his name is George Levy. He has a great Udemy course on blockchain and cryptocurrency. and it's really good for beginners.
And he's on YouTube?
Yeah, he's on YouTube too. You can look
Okay.
up. And I forget the name of his organization, but if you look up George Levy blockchain, you should find him.
Okay. I will do that. It's exciting learning about new people that are getting into the space and all that they can contribute to it. So we've talked about Bitcoin and Litecoin. Are those your favorite coins? What are some of your favorite coins or new projects that you're following?
Well, you know what, Litecoin was actually my first crypto that I actually got involved with. Mostly because at the time I didn't know that they broke down in, you could break them down into lower portions, right?
Yes, which I think is going to help Litecoin go to the moon as soon, because people are going to start, now that that currency talk is happening, cryptocurrency talk with Libra and all this, people are going to want to go buy Bitcoin, and they're going to come in and go, oh my God, it's $10,000.
Right.
Well, they can go buy Litecoin for hopefully 200, 400 this year.
Well, like when I first, 2016, around the time I think it was at like $30 for one Litecoin at the time.
Okay.
So that was a lot more manageable than $500, $600, $700 for a Bitcoin, right?
Right.
But that's, like I said, that's before I knew you could buy portions of it instead of a whole one.
Yes.
So of course, being that $30 sounds more reasonable than, like, if this turns out to be nothing, if it turns out to be smoke and mirrors, I only wasted $30, right?
Yeah. And that may help Digibyte, because Digibyte is decentralized, and they're going to be kind of, in that same, that I could see them being in that same place as people come in. Litecoin will eventually be in those thousands, and Digibyte still has a long way to grow. So that might help people.
Yeah, same thing with Tron and the other cryptos who have yet to pass $1. That there's definitely potential that, especially if you're an investor. I mean, I don't give financial advice, right? But
yeah, no financial advice from either of us.
But at least you can see that, okay, if a whole coin token is your goal, you have options beyond the big five, and you think that, I think for someone who's just getting in, where these numbers can be intimidating, that will help them see that you do have options.
Yeah, absolutely. So you like Tron too, then? I heard a little Tron in your voice there.
Well, I have a lot of Tron friends, so I have to pay attention to what's going on there.
Interesting.
Justin Sun is going to be sitting down with Warren Buffett soon, so I think.
Oh, that's really cool. So he was one of those that was invited. It's him, Charlie Lee.
He won the. There was like a contest of some sort, and he won. And so the prize was lunch with Warren Buffett, and he invited Charlie Lee along. And so you're going to have the two of them talking to Warren Buffett about crypto. And I'm glad he decided to bring more than just himself, is because this way it doesn't seem like he's just going to be
pushing his coin. Yeah, it's about the whole cryptocurrency space. That's really cool. Right. That is just the thing that's so different about this than other currencies. We don't want one currency doesn't win. We all win. So,
and that's really how we should think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we do have that big win, do you have a crypto dream or goal? What does your life look like?
I just want people to know that they have options. I'm not looking for, like, the whole Lambo meme. I always say I don't care about that. Yeah. I want people to know that there's a path to financial freedom that they can follow, that isn't someone else telling you what to do. This is you having control of your future, right?
Absolutely.
And that's all I'm here for. I mean, I report, I record, and that's it. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm just trying to tell you what's going on.
Well, I love that. And I love that about your channel and your Twitter. You guys, please take a minute and like and share this video, and go over and subscribe to Jason's channel. Check out some of his videos, like and share those. You'll get great content. And the more we share the word, spread the word, the more quickly adoption happens. So you can follow Jason at Dragon Wolf Tech on Twitter, and find him at Jason Nelson or Dragon Wolf Tech on YouTube. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. It was really nice to meet you, and I can't wait to, hopefully we'll see you at the Litecoin Summit in October.
October, yes, I definitely plan to come out and cover that. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
All right, great. Thanks so much for everything. Everybody take care. Stay cool in this hot summer we're having, and make sure to love one another.
Yes, thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Jason.